Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Now That's Love. This is going to be episode 2 of The Dark Night of the Soul for Ashlyn and I. And today it's going to be my side of some things that I've experienced. And so, have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like in the very beginning it was like fast paced? Very much like love, like so much love, adoration, and mirroring, like you have so much in common. And a lot of things usually are bought or given to you as gifts. And sometimes it's just more of just like time spent. You find that there's a lot of like little music things sent to you, a lot of texting and everything. And it's kind of can be overwhelming, but we've seen a lot of it on TV and growing up with movies and different things that, let's say like Beauty and the Beast as little kids and 50 Shades of Grey. There's just so many different things out there. The Hallmark whole series seasons, all of them really kind of show what relationships we think they might are supposed to look like. But you get into this relationship and maybe 2 or 3 months in, you start to feel off. There may be like you see some things that just aren't adding up. And maybe at 3 to 6 months, you start to see some, I guess you would say red flags, but you start second guessing yourself because you see how great that person was the first 3 months and all the love bombing, and that's what it's called. And you start to kind of think, oh, can't we just go back to just even like getting along and the communication is nice? And it's called the devaluation phase of a narcissistic type relationship, where maybe they go MIA. There's, just so you know, there's 7 to 9 different types. I will post some videos down below this, so from the experts, so I don't have to go completely into all the playbook of a narcissist. But it's very, you feel like you're messed in the head. There's a trauma bond that's going to be created, and you think that you can make things work because the breadcrumbing happens. And the breadcrumbing is that you are 3 or 4 days are great. Not that a relationship, they have to be great. It's just, there's chaos that happens. Let me like create some scenario. You were looking at that guy, or maybe it's a guy, you were looking at this girl and you're like, where'd this come from? Or maybe you didn't get the ice right out of the refrigerator for them, and it was, why did you get me ice? I don't like ice, when they have always wanted ice. It can be the craziest thing that will start an argument. And there's so many things I've learned from this, but my dark night of the soul was not understanding any of this, not understanding that in a narcissistic relationship, there's the love bombing phase, there's the devaluation, breadcrumbing phase, and then there's the discard phase, unless you decide to leave before, you're discarded. But that's when you leave, that's when you see like the real person. And it's really crazy to believe that you were in that situation, but you have to give yourself a lot of compassion and step forward into a love of yourself. And so here's the narcissistic relationship. Then here is you getting out and what you need to do. And this little capsule right here is no contact, discovering and understanding and becoming educated of what they're about. And so you're never in it again, so you can trust yourself. And then there's the phase of like healing, and really truly it comes down to not being a codependent personality type, and also self-love. And that's really what Ash and I are going to branch out into, is like the self-love aspect and the healing side. And so I've so much information and beautiful stuff to give you guys that will just change your life forever. And it's changed mine and the people I work with. So, and then you go over here into this, you're out of it, and just know I've never, for me personally, or anybody I've worked with, or anything I've ever read about anybody that's gotten out of these relationships, many will go back because of the trauma bonding. You need to look that up. And they'll go back because it's better to be in the known of like that craziness than what happens afterwards, like the smear campaign. And there's just this real true, you've been gaslit. So you are second guessing everything anyways of yourself. You feel like you're going crazy. And to get out, you're going to probably more than likely, I'm just going to put it out there, you're going to go through a dark night of your soul, because there's a part of you that you need to break up with that was even okay with being in that situation in the first place. Now, these were all new concepts for me because mine was a hamster wheel throughout my life in these type of relationships. And so when I got out of my last one, it was like just such a self-realization for me that what do I need to do to never, ever, ever, ever be in this situation again? Because it's so, anybody that's been through one, there's work to be done. And if you don't do the work, you'll end up in another relationship like that, or you'll end up being alone. And let's be real. Don't let an individual ever in your lifetime or our lifetime take the rest of our life to not enjoy pleasure and happiness and feeling like we can open our hearts to love. And that's our responsibility. All of it's our responsibility. And we go through these relationships and we can learn from them. And that's what Ashley and I are going to be teaching so much on. There's work to be done, but also just being still in this moment. Every moment, just being still and self-aware that in this moment, if you've left or maybe you're in that situation, that there are people out there to help you and to love on you and walk you through these processes of just the mind health and the fascia in your body. The body keeps score of the traumas. So don't stay. If the biggest thing I can say is get out, become educated. If any of these things kind of make you think, okay, I was in this. For me, when I got out, it was just so much going and finding like, okay, what went on. For mine was kind of like a situation where I did a lot of deep prayer and things were showing up literally in my life to guide me. And so out of the blue in the middle of the night, a thing posted up, not in the middle of the night before I went to sleep, posted up about a covert narcissist. And I popped onto it and I was like, oh my goodness, that's to a T, and a sociopathic and spiritual narcissist and avoidant narcissist where they, somebody maybe like comes into your life and then out and in and out. And that can go on for years. It's what we allow. And it comes down to us really, truly having a beautiful relationship with ourselves. And it's work. And it's breaking up with stories from our past and the belief system. 95% of our action comes from our subconscious. And so if we haven't gone and done some healing there and rewritten our story, then we will continually do the same things. And so it's really, truly healing our inner child. And the dark night of the soul is like the dark shadow. We go in and understand ourselves more. Yeah. There's so many people that reach out to me and they don't even know they're in these kind of relationships. There's grace to be had for all humans because a narcissist has come more than likely from a narcissistic parent or a situation. And so it does not make it right that the continuation happens. But I do have some people that are in my life that are dear that I literally witnessed them growing up being abused by their mother or father, and they are that way. Now, a narcissist usually will treat the very worst the person that they're closest to. So it'll be like a spouse or a child, usually. Other people will see them differently. Maybe outside of the house, they see them as just like charismatic and wonderful and so talented. But it's behind the closed doors that what happens. It's never okay for somebody to scream and yell at you. It's never okay for somebody to demean you and call you like an idiot, just really devaluing. And then if there's something on your heart that you want to talk about in a relationship, and you're just coming from a place of just communicating, and it happens to be that you bring up, I was wondering if on Friday at 4 o'clock, and then it becomes a whole explosive thing projected back on you, and you feel like we've not gotten anywhere. Like, I just was going to bring this up, and you get to a point you don't even want to bring anything up because you know where it's going to go. And sometimes it's a 2-day event, or some narcissistic people will completely avoid you for 4 days or 5 days or whatever, just because you spoke your truth. And so there's some things that we'll be laying out here on these episodes of action steps. In this video is about taking action to just literally be brave and to get out of the situation. You cannot still have communication with this person. That was the best advice I got, because you need to understand that they don't change. It's proven they don't change. They might get a little bit better, but are you going to stay there for that teeny bit better for your brain to be rewired? The trauma in your brain can take 10 to 20 years off, on top of the fact that it causes autoimmune diseases. It causes diverticulitis, organ failure, so many different things. For me personally, I got shingles. I started to lose my hair. I lost a lot of weight, and my stomach was really a mess, diverticulitis and different things. So this is due to very extreme stress. And a lot of times we'll find ourselves keeping it inward. We hold on to it because, heaven forbid, we try to communicate it. My situations would get to the extreme that would be just fine, say maybe working out, doing my thing, and then all of a sudden there'd be a rage moment of like, that guy over there's looking at you, and I'm like, I have no control over that guy. Then it would catapult. A lot of my situation would end up being like behind closed doors. And then as soon as we walked out, people would think we were just fine, but I knew that there was a fear factor in my brain that if I was to do anything out of the norm, wrong, in front of people, then I know it now, it seems silly, but I feared that then it would be done in public. And there were times it was, and people just didn't understand the extremity of like what was really going on. And I would cry, have tears coming down my face in public, and try to hold it all in. It progressively gets worse. So it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And for me, in my situations, besides maybe one, it got to be so that it was physical. And that, they say that everybody has their own breaking point. So for many of us, it's the physical. Oh, now you hit me in the face, or now you pulled my hair, or whatever. Now I'm out. And really, the other thing that hit me in the bullseye was, we'll never allow anybody to treat us the way we're not already treating ourselves in our mind. So our self-talk really does matter immensely. So it's when you do get out, and Ashley and I are going to really show you some very beautiful things. I mean, beautiful and healing things for your mind. I'm a brain health specialist, and I know so much about how the wiring of the brain and how to really switch up your subconscious mind so that it's working for you, and the trauma bond and the releasing of everything is so much faster. And also give yourself grace to heal. Know that you're going to be walking through so many different emotions, and you need to make sure you're not like spiritual bypassing, that you're not absolutely devastated. That's why I say go no contact, because if you're getting a hit, and they're going to find you via email. You can block emails, by the way. They're going to find you on different fake profiles on social media. If it's to the point that it's so bad for you, then legitimately stay off of social media. Don't check your email for a minute. And if you do get an email from this person, then make sure you just immediately block it. There's this major temptation. It's so crazy because our brains get programmed for this, but there's this major temptation to know what they're doing. You just read it. But if you'll just start to stick up for yourself and take care of yourself and show up for yourself and just say absolutely not, the more you'll show up this way, the faster you'll be healed and out of that dark night of the soul. This is a learning game. It's for me, I learned it was from my childhood and codependency and different factors there. So I had to go and understand more about codependency, which we'll be talking about on here. And one of the ways we'll talk to probably on maybe one or two of the next episodes about ways to find out if it is a narcissist, like if you're dating or if you're with someone that is, there are very simple factors to know that they're a narcissist. I mean, there's 5 that for me with dating, I just know right away. I'm not hyper vigilant anymore as far as if I was to date. I was in the beginning, so I just mellowed it out and didn't date. One of the big things too, just be okay with being by yourself. You don't have to go right into dating. In fact, don't. You more than likely will do the exact same thing. That's been many people I've worked with story in mine too. So even though I gave my breaks in between, I didn't have the knowledge I had after this last one. It was about 4 years ago. The internet has such a great source, but another thing I would say is, yes, understand what a narcissist is, the different kinds, the playbook that they play, but don't stay there. Really, what's meant for the whole thing of the awakening is that they came into your life to show you how you can break free from things that are beliefs that, you don't need to be part of anymore, that were actually sabotaging and hurting you. So it's very important for you to not go down that big old rabbit hole and keep on tapping into these things. And I did it in the beginning, and there was a point that I'm like, okay. And then there was a point of really diving into self-healing and understanding about the codependency and the personality attachment styles. So there's like avoidant, anxious avoidant, and then there's anxious attachment, and then there's secure attachment. So you kind of want to know, because we'd be like more of the magnet. You're the super magnet as a codependent and as an avoidant or anxious avoidant, because a lot of times most of them are going to be anxious. They've been through things too. I've come a long ways for me to say that. I know that I felt it in the beginning. My spirit felt it, but there was a lot of being real with my emotions of what I've gone through and healing through that. I just wasn't going to discard and just go, right from here to here. It was a process. It was a process of even feeling guilty, shame, for me, like, is a holistic health and nutrition coach. There's therapists out there. There's doctors out there. It's not something that we were really educated on, and now it's really out there, and I'm so grateful for it. But still to this day, I'm still almost on a daily basis talking to someone that still doesn't see the bigger picture, that they're in those kind of relationships. And so that's my main reason for coming on here, and we will break it down. I don't want the videos to be 2 hours long. I'm just going to break them down to probably 20 to 30 minutes to drive to work, so that you can understand, but then you're going to be going through a lot of beautiful healing and self-love and self-help. And so just little dabs each day, but know that right now in this moment, you're enough. You're safe. You're okay. And if you're in one of those relationships, then yes, of course, get out and do what you know you need to do, whether you need to get police help. I mean, I don't know, everybody's situation will be different. If you're married, you can get a mediator. That would be my recommendation, because I think that there's extra games that are played when you get out, and the kids are kind of put in between everything. But you can have a mediator with that, and not put the kids in to be the mediator, but somebody outside of that you trust and love. And know that when you get out too, that there will be people that will come up to you that you thought were maybe your friends or whatever, that want to know information. And they're called flying monkeys. It's kind of fun to know all these names now. I'm not going to lie. I like the pink clouding effect, as they really try hard to come back and get into your life. And there's the hook and different things like that. So it's, once you understand it, there's this trust that starts to come in, back and for yourself. And then it's not as scary. Everybody's been in a different situation. For me, it was pretty extreme, diagnosed as a sociopath. So there was really scary things that happened. And yes, I'm yes, I'm smiling, but I've cried a lot. I've been very fearful a lot. I've gone through such darkness, and it was kind of like a roller coaster where I felt like I was coming and I was like, oh, everything's okay. And then there'd be something that would happen. And then this is me out of it. Like, say even like your dog dies, or something happens at work. And even though it's not very relatable to what you left, that dark night of the soul of leaving, and then the kind of a similar pain this way will let other things merge up. And it's okay, because it's part of life. It's part of life. I used to be so scared of my emotions. I was so scared to stay in any emotion too long. And if you don't really truly feel these emotions, then they stay within your body, your fascia, and your mind, and they're imprinted, especially if they're very devastating, like big trauma moments. And so we get to work through it. It's, if we were to all gather together, we all have our victim stories. Even the narcissists do, don't they? And so we'd also have the choice and the freedom, and where we can just save our own selves. We can grow and expand and evolve in such a beautiful way. So that's my message for today. And we would love to hear from all of you in our community as we're just beginning this. You know, if there's something you want to share, get off your heart. This is a safe place. This is a place that is been put on my heart as something so much bigger than me wants me to create this. And so I'm showing up, no matter what. So from my heart to yours, I wish you the best. Let us know if there's any questions you have, and we will definitely do more episodes if that's what you're needing. Much love. Bye-bye.